There we go. Can you hear me? Wow. In case you hadn't worked out the relevance, we're starting a series looking at the armor of God. Had you worked that out? Yeah. Great. So we're looking at the armor of God, and that's why we had that reading that Jerry read for us. I'm just going to talk for a few minutes today, which some of you might find hard to believe. But if I'm not done by 10:30, someone throw something at me. So this is going to be quick, and it's going to be short, but hopefully it's going to be profound. Does that work? Yes. If you haven't been to a service like this before, the purpose of an all-together service is that we learn to worship as an intergenerational community, and what is beautiful is that we have a baby who's quite new in the church today, and we have someone who's heading towards a centenary, and people of all ages in between, and where else do we get the privilege of being together in that kind of environment with people? And so some of us might like to learn in different ways, and today I'm going to be trying to engage people of all ages. Is that okay? Is that okay? Great, okay. So that was a fantastic drama, because it really makes the simple point of the armor of God. The armor of God is not about fighting. The armor of God is about standing. Have a look with me on page 1821. I've been accused recently of trying to make people open the Bible and look at it. Absolutely guilty. I'm happy to take that one. So any more complaints like that, please do pass them in. I'm guilty. I'd love you to open the Bible and look page 1821. And just notice, because the word stand keeps appearing. Verse 11, put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. And it carries on. The word stand keeps appearing. Verse 13, after you've done everything, to stand. Verse 14, stand firm with the belt of truth. As we saw with the boys in the jeans, it is really hard just standing still if you haven't got a belt on and your trousers don't fit. Pants, sorry. I knew I'd do that. I knew it. I had a sleepless night last night because I was so worried that if I'm talking about the belt of truth, I'm going to start saying trousers and you'll just look at me like, you've been here for 3.5 years, David, and you still aren't calling them pants. Okay. They're pants. Or do you call them jeans? I don't know. So we saw that you need a belt to hold up your jeans. Now, I've actually forgotten to put my belt on today, and that's because my pants are the right size, so that's fine. But if they weren't, it would be quite disastrous. Probably I would make the front page of the local news, wouldn't I? And you'd all deny all knowledge. Do you know him? No. We don't know who he is. He's from your church? No, he's not. No, we've never seen him before. So, looking at the armor of God, the purpose of the armor is to do what? Stand. The purpose of the armor is to do what? This side? Stand. And this side? Stand. Stand, stand, stand. Why do we need to stand? Have you ever walked out of the house on a rainy day where the wind is blowing like a gale, and just to be able to stand still for a moment and go, whoa, and do you do that thing, don't you, where you do this? Can you stand with me and do that? Come on. So you're walking out of the house and you feel the wind and you stand. That was rubbish. And you stand. Thank you. Great, have a seat. You're going to remember this. It's important to be able to stand in the storms of life. And when Paul is talking about the spiritual life, he's talking about this spiritual battle that's going on. And we get this kind of picture of the devil and us and good and bad, and it feels like something out of a movie. But any of us who've been a Christian for some time know what it feels like to be in a spiritual battle. We know what it feels like to walk out into the world and to encounter things that are thrown at us. And people have different perspectives on this. Mine is that I believe we're in a spiritual battle, and that the thing that the devil would like the most is for none of us to be here today. Have you read the Screwtape Letters? This is for the grown-ups. C.S. Lewis. It's on the shelf in the bookstore. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. It isn't, the definitive guide to the devil, but it's a great fun read. Isn't it? I thought it was. It's called the Screwtape Letters, and the whole concept is there are these two devils, a junior and a senior devil, and they're trying to confuse the Christians, trying to do everything they can to kind of stop them from standing. Because it's really hard to stand for our faith in a world that says, no, we're not interested in your faith. We're not interested. So we have to do what? Stand. And so the picture of the armor for Paul would have been really quite pressing. Can anyone tell me why armor was so, who wasn't at the first service? Can anyone who hasn't heard this sermon already tell me why the armor was so in Paul's mind? He's in jail, and probably in chains to a Roman centurion. The commentators say, and of course they disagree, but the commentators indicate that Paul is not only in jail in chains, but he would be chained to a Roman centurion, because they did not want Paul to get away and tell people about Jesus. They really didn't. And so not only did they put him in jail and they put him in chains, but they chained him to a centurion who is wearing fantastic. You've got this, haven't you? So the centurion's wearing the armor. So that image of the armor is really there. But the first piece, which is what we're looking at today, is the belt of truth. And probably there wasn't a belt on the outside of the armor. Other translations, if you look at the Revised Standard Version, which some of you might do, it will talk about the girdle. You've heard the phrase, gird your loins. And so the whole thing of it almost being something to keep you held up inside, underneath your armor. Because if you're wearing armor and you haven't got a belt on, what's going to happen to your pants? They're probably going to fall off. And if you're in battle and your pants are falling down inside your armor, are you going to be feeling confident? I think you're not going to be feeling confident, and you're going to have people coming towards you, and inside you're thinking, my pants have just fallen down. I wish I'd put a belt on. So what does it mean then, the belt of truth? The belt of truth. Talk to the person next to you for 60 seconds. What do you think the belt of truth means? Okay, that'll do. Far away. Anyone have an idea what the belt of truth is? Raise a hand. Samuel. 60 seconds, yeah, that was probably less than 60. It's called a preacher's 60 seconds, which means it can get longer or shorter. Who has an idea of what is the belt of truth?
It's about preventing you from being exposed and vulnerable.
Yeah, preventing you from being exposed and vulnerable, like the picture of things falling down. Fantastic, thanks, Melody. The belt of truth. Any others?
Jesus.
About Jesus. Do you want to say more? Jesus is the truth. Amen. Kathy.
You can be firm in something that you know is true.
Absolutely. You can be firm in what you know is true, Joe. Yeah, amen. Jesus is the living Son of God, part of the Trinity forever. Jesus talks about truth. He says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. But you know, I don't think what's going on here, this could be controversial, pick up your ears and listen. I don't think what's going on here is so much about the gospel and the truth of the gospel. That would be easy. That would be getting off too lightly. If we walk away thinking we're going to stand firm on the truth of the gospel, which we need to. I know I've got 1 minute to go. But I think the point of the truth is that we are people of integrity. I once worked in a tiny office, and the phone rang, and there was me and my boss, and there was a desk in between, and the phone was in the middle of the desk. And when the phone rang, there was caller ID. Do you remember those on those phones with, some younger people won't know what these look like, but there are phones with string on them, almost, and you pick it up. Believe me, people don't always know. And there was a little display on that would tell you who was calling. And he said, it's so-and-so, tell him I'm not there. And so me, having just read J. John's book on the 10 Commandments about not lying, I said, irritatingly for him, but I said, if I lie for you when you're sitting in front of me, why wouldn't I lie to you when you're not here? That's what he did. And thank you, that's what he did. He was so annoyed because he knew I was right. Fine, he said. Fine. I'm going to the bank. So he grabbed his keys, went out, slammed the door, got in his Mercedes and drove off to the bank, I presume. It was a Mercedes he had. Thanks, Joshua. And then I picked up the phone. I said, yeah, he's just actually gone out to the bank, just as you rang. It's really important to be people who tell the truth, because when we're known as people who tell the truth, then that helps us to stand. It helps us to stand when we're talking about Jesus and about the gospel. One more story to finish. Anyone here like chocolate? Has anyone here ever stolen some chocolate and eaten it? And then pretended you hadn't? And the thing about chocolate is you can see it and you can smell it, can't you? Have you done this? Don't you? If you go and do this now, your parents will know you've. So, but I found that even if as an adult I've gone and eaten chocolate, which I have, and that's why I'm telling the story. This is my wife. Focus on the story, David. Okay, so I found, and there was one time, and I'd gone in our old house, and we had a pantry, a larder, what do you call it, a place where you put food in. And I'd gone in there and eaten some chocolate. And I came out, and I think Samuel said to me, he said, "Daddy, why do you smell of chocolate?" And it's those moments when it's so important to be people who tell the truth. And so I said, "I've just eaten some, I'm sorry." "Can I have some?" "No, I'm sorry, I've just eaten that, it's gone." Tell the truth. Tell the truth. The belt of truth is about being people who tell the truth. Yes, we need to know the truth of the gospel, that Jesus says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life," but also we need to be people who tell the truth. And so the first piece of the armor, and there's 5 more to go in different weeks. The first piece of the armor is the belt of truth. Because if we're not people of integrity, if we're not people who tell the truth, then we're not going to be able to stand. Should we stand together? We're going to sing. Are we going to sing now? Have I got this right? I'm a bit rusty because I've been away for a week. I think we're about to sing "Be Thou My Vision." Is that what we're planning? Okay. So we're going to sing "Be Thou My Vision." And as we sing this song, it's really cementing everything we've said today. That we need to make sure that God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is our vision. That we put our faith and trust in Him. And that we stand on the truth of the gospel, on the truth of Jesus who says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." And that we are people who not only know the truth, but who have the truth as a belt holding us up.